Okay, I've used a case study which has been developed by our partners from Center of Information, Democracy and Citizenship, part of the American University in Bogotá. It's a very interesting case study because it relates to how an information operation campaign could lead to kinetic consequences. And last night I was tempted, by the way, to change the topic of the presentation abruptly because I was participant in the events in front of the National Theatre where a similar operation led to a kinetic conflict. But I didn't have time. So the use case, the case study is about the Southport stabbings when a few young girls were stabbed by a 17-year-old male. And it's an interesting study because it exemplifies how the malign information operations operate, especially the ones perpetrated by Russians, by outright actors. There is a continuous background narrative. In this particular case, we know this is one of the main negative narratives. It's about anti-immigration, about the fact that the claims that the immigrants are always bad. So you could see the background and the big spike in the end of July. Then there is an incident. And what the bad actors are doing, they always spot the best opportunities to create a big campaign out of an incident that might be happening every now and then, but they find the right ones. And then they start a targeted disinformation and amplification campaign, which in this case, and like in many other cases, led to a kinetic conflict and riots. And so a bit of a background. This is a slide I'm showing on almost all my presentations, how the influence networks of the state actors operate. They have, the first step is to seed some fake story or a few fake stories, part of a bigger narrative. Usually they use tier 3 mushroom websites, anonymous or low-key social media accounts. Then the targeted amplification aims to trick the recommendation engines of the social media platforms so they could start promoting the content to unsuspecting impartial social media users. And then we go to the organic amplification and viral spread. In this case, the seeding was done by an account which is still active. The tweet that seeded the whole conspiracy is no longer active, it's deleted. We still have it in the system. And then there was another story which was the correct reporting about the incident, which, as you will see, didn't get much traction. So I intentionally started with the case study, and I'll finish with the technology because most of the people in the room, regardless that it's a technology track, I guess are more interested in how actually you could use the tool in a real use case. So the fake narrative, the fake story was that the guy name was Ali al-Shakati. Whoever knows Arabic knows that there is no such Arabic name. Shakati sounds like an apartment. It was designed to sound like Arabic name. It was augmented with some claims that the person was on the MI5, MI6 terrorist watch list, that it was asylum seeker, arrived in the UK a previous year on a boat. An interesting thing here is that it's in Bulgarian time. The timeline is in Bulgarian time, so the news break out at lunchtime in the UK. Immediately, the fake narrative took off, the red line. Then the gray line was the tweets that didn't mention anything about the perpetrator, about ethnicity, about identity. Then later in the evening, we have some spikes of the other narratives that it's a Muslim person or the correct reporting who the police arrested. The interesting part is the pie chart on the right. Sorry for the small font, there was not so much space. And it was how these amplifier accounts actually managed to break out of the echo chamber and the bubble of the outright targeted users. So of course they started mentioning prominent outright populist accounts like Tommy Robinson or Dave Atherton or Europe Invasion, which is a popular space in Twitter. But I also started actually mentioning left and liberal accounts, popular or massive accounts with massive followership like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Amazon UK. And some accounts that are by today deleted. As a result, they've achieved a very good rate of retweeting. The first wave was until the night, and then the next day in the evening, it really took off. The 4 stories extracted, because we're tracking here what's happening on a story level, not on individual content, and this is what the new technology we have is doing, actually identifying automatically stories and putting short summaries and human-readable names of these stories, and then tracking all the other data, all the other metadata, analyzing them based on a story level. So the red story is the one that actually ignited all the violence. The correct story, which is 62% of the overall share of voice, the correct story received 0.5% share of voice. The others we're not interested right now. These are the top 10 amplifiers. Accounts that are not seeding the original post, they're only retweeting. And this is the post count for the first 24 hours. As you could see, it's just like, looks like they're fulfilling a quota. 110, 15 to 150 posts per day. And if we show a histogram, it's 24/7. So the initial potential reach was mere 1.2 million. The total number of followers reached by the first wave of retweets was only 3.9 million. Nothing serious. At the end of the 24 hours, this was the end result. 870 million shares on Twitter, out of 138,000 unique social media users for 24 hours. 1.5 billion potential reach of this content. And 300,000, 700, whatever, posts. And this is a very typical example of how these influence networks operate and achieve unimaginable reach and engagement. I have a slide here about the challenges, what the malicious actors have in their pocket, the media users in the between, and what are the deficiencies of, let's say, legacy media, the fact checkers, the top influencers, the social networks, but I'll leave this slide for whoever is interested to, after that, to download the presentation and read it, and there are also some footnotes. About the technology. The technology is based on a multitude of large language models, and the last step is currently external integration with ChatGPT API, Enterprise API, which we at some point will replace on in-house model. So it starts with a very simple filtering. In the system, you just filter by a keyword, in this case, Southport. It could be a filter by topic, like topic identified by our topic models, to narrow down the content. Then you start the process or schedule the process to run every few hours or every 1 hour to generate what are the most prominent stories within a particular narrative or within a particular topic. And what the backend is doing, it performs some content sanitization, because in some types of content you have mentions, URLs, like in social media, online, you better send only the headlines and the first few paragraphs or sentences and the concluding sentences. Then a service performs multilingual sentence segmentation, because you have to separate certain parts of the text, generates and stores embeddings, performs multilingual clustering. Currently the model is a transformer model, supports 58 languages. We've trained this model over the course of a few months, and we will be increasing the number of languages to match the number of languages we support for other algorithms. And then it performs sampling by selecting representative articles out of each cluster, sends the sample articles to, in this case, ChatGPT-4, to create summaries and titles of the topics, and then brings back the results. All the content in the system that matches, that is part of these stories, is being reindexed. So this is just additional metadata that could be used after that for visualizations, for analysis, for drill down, for all the other steps. A few words about the coverage of Sensica and the system. We currently cover 215 countries and territories because not all geographies are recognized as countries. Across all algorithms, 150 languages, we collect the content by ourselves. We don't use third parties except for broadcast and just raw broadcast. And we have lots of in-house models, about 500,000 online media sources. That's what we crawl with our crawlers. 8 social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, TikTok, and some others on demand. Currently, 1,400 TV channels, which, as some of the previous presenters said, we are converting the speech to text, and then we apply all the NLP and all the Gen AI algorithms on this. Things like facial recognition, extraction of data from videos and pictures, I'm not going to talk in details because the time is running out. And my call to action, it's arms race. It's arms race, and everyone who wants to be effective against disinformation, against malicious campaigns, needs tools. We have an extensive corporate social responsibility program, so we help for free, pro bono, a lot of researchers, a lot of academia, and think tanks, just because we live in a very toxic and a very overwhelming information environment where the majority of the content out there is actually not authentic. And if anyone is interested and want to connect, share, this is my email. I didn't put my phone just because it will be public. A backup slide, which I will leave you for after that, some ideas about solutions and some profiling on the social media platforms. And I think this is now 13 minutes.